Hey guys, it's Greg with Buy the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out the social media. Today, I want to make a video about our illustrious governor, Governor Tim Walz, and what he thinks about the National Guard. A couple of months back ago, beginning in May, when after the George Floyd death had occurred from that police officer, Minneapolis was a hellhole. It was a shithole. It was a war zone, honestly. And on the second day of the protest and rioting, after 1,500 businesses had been burglarized, the 3rd precinct was given up by the mayor. The city was just in shambles. The entire Lake Street location, that Target that was there, that Cub that was there, that Advanced AutoZone store, after so many businesses had been vandalized, shootings were going up, chaos was just rampant. The Jacob Fry, which is the mayor of Minneapolis, and you guys maybe know this, maybe not, he asked for the National Guard to be sent in to help assist bringing control back to the city. And he was denied his first request because the governor had come out and said in an interview, now that blame is being given back and forth between whether it was the mayor's fault for not having the National Guard out there or whether it was the governor's fault for not having the National Guard out there. You know, when during this thing, they were like two peas in a pod. You know, they were all with each other. And now that money's being allocated, they're trying to figure out who's going to pay for this and who's going to get the political blame, I guess, is what I can think of. Tim Walz comes out and said that, you know, he could have sent out the National Guard, but what did he expect from a bunch of inexperienced 19-year-olds who were probably cooks? And the fact that giving these inexperienced soldiers assault rifles and putting them in the middle of that situation wasn't going to help them because they were inexperienced. They're too stupid. You got to be kidding me. He goes with the assumption that every National Guardsman must lack the intellect because they're doing something like, like as he used, a cook. Yet, you know what? Every soldier, and you guys, if you were in the military, you know this. Every soldier, doesn't matter what branch of the military, doesn't matter what your MOS is, doesn't matter what you do in the military, you all go through rifles training, you all go through basic training, you all go through firearm qualification. I think most of us who have served have been deployed, some of us to better locations than others, but certainly the National Guard, I mean, they've been calling on the National Guard to go overseas to Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran and all these other places now since 9/11 happened. I mean, literally, it's been 19 years. And, and he comes out, and you guys get together once a month for a weekend to train, and you get together for 2 weeks, 2 weeks a year, to train. And I'm pretty sure that rifle training and crowd control are some of the things that you guys practice in the National Guard, since you guys' primary mission is to work with the states for natural relief or natural disasters, and also things like riots and protesters. So to sit there and say that the National Guard is unexperienced, it's inconceivable to me how you could be so stupid, especially when you take into the fact that Tim Walz served in the National Guard for 24 years. He, of all people, ought to know what the capabilities, what the National Guard can and can't do. And then to sit there and say, well, they don't know their directive. They don't know what they were supposed to do. They didn't have a plan. What kind of battalions were they going to use? What was going to be their mission? You're the governor, dumbass. Figure it out. He wants to blame the mayor, who's an idiot as well, because they allowed this crap to go on. You could have easily just sent the National Guard in, even if they didn't do anything. It was just a visual show of force. Someone I heard today on the radio made an unbelievably good point. They sit there and said, if they were worried about the National Guard not being able to arrest people, because this is exactly what Tim Walz said, like they don't have zip ties, they don't have the authority. You know what? Let's just assume for shits and grins you're right. They don't. But you do as the governor, and you can give them that right if you wanted to. But let's just say that none of that occurred. You could have had, with the police officers that were there, you could have had a police officer flanked by 2, if not 3 guardsmen. They had asked and had requested for 600 of them. you could have had one police officer surrounded by 2 or 3 National Guardsmen, and the one police officer could have been the one making the actual arrest so that it would be legit, while the other 2 National Guardsmen, or 3, could have been there to protect that officer. And maybe if all those rioters and looters, and I won't say protesters really because they weren't protesting, destructive mob, maybe had they seen a bunch of guys in camo and Humvees pulled up with freaking guns slinged across their shoulders, maybe that would have been enough of a deterrent to be like, oh shit, they're not fucking around, we better stop. But instead, they let it go on for 3 days. And they let how many businesses burn down? How many businesses get vandalized? How many lives were ruined? How many people got killed during that process? That could have been avoided. I mean, the moment that video surfaced, seeing what's gone on in our country, especially with racial tensions, any governor, if this happens in their state, the very first thing they should do is call the National Guard and say, hey, we may not need you, but be on standby. Because the moment things start getting out of hand, calling the National Guard along with the police force, nip that shit in the butt immediately. But no, this walking dumbass who served in the National Guard, again for 24 years, apparently doesn't know how things worked in the National Guard. So I really have to ask this question then, Governor Walz, Emperor Dummy. Are you just that inept? Are you just that stupid? How do you do something for 24 years and yet then claim to not know how the process works, even though you're the executive of the state, which means this is your job to know? It really does say a lot what he thinks about the men and women in the National Guard. And apparently, he must be like, John Kerry. One of those guys where, he hated the military. Every time he got the opportunity, always talked shit about the military. Until he was running for president. Then it was like, oh yeah, the military's great. Yeah, man, great. But he lost his election, goes right back to hating on them again. I really have to ask the question, Walz, how inept are you? Just how incredibly ignorant can you be? To sit there and say that these men and women who do this not only go through basic, not only go through monthly training, they're not good enough to send into Minneapolis to stop rioting, looting, but they're good enough to go overseas on deployments? What an ass clown. Comment below, let me know. I'll talk to you guys later.